Oh,
We are
No,
live.
remember what, Andy?
you don't want to say that we're live right away because if you say it too quickly,
Oh,
it gets cut off. And
does
then,
it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think we're live now, though? Do you think it's okay to speak?
Hopefully, that's been enough time.
Okay,
but
cool.
We can
Thank
only
you.
hope.
So I'll start my introduction now. Do
Do not put that in the. I have to edit. Do not put a big gasp before. Okay.
I was taking a breath. Do you not want me to breathe?
Is he not allowed to breathe?
I know it's getting tough here. Okay, this is Literary Roadhouse. One short story once a week. My name's Gerald.
My name, it turns out, is Andy.
I'm Anise.
And this week we've been reading Men, Women and Chainsaws by Stephen Graham Jones. If you haven't read it yet, pause the podcast, go read it. It's about 8,000 words long, so take a little while, and then come back because you don't want to miss us. This week we're reading the story of Jenna in Texas. Just before her boyfriend Victor headed out for a 6-month stint on an offshore rig, they recreated an image from one of their favorite films, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, on an old rusty Chevy Camaro in the junkyard. He would take the photo with him to remind him of her. However, whilst offshore, he dumps her. Oh, and she starts her life without him. But he comes back, and Jenna wants revenge. And with the help of her own blood to bring the Camaro back to life, which has mysteriously transported itself to where her parents died many years ago, she eventually gets her revenge, and, as it says in the penultimate line, her life started.
Yeah, ghosts.
Don't look as though you're waiting for something else.
Well, there's a lot of details missing, but I guess we'll discuss it. So,
well, yeah, I thought that's what we could do. You
know.
No. You want the
read
whole
story. Read the whole story, Jared.
Word for word. Read it out loud.
Whole story,
and that's our summary.
Yeah, it's a summary. It's called a summary for a reason.
All right.
Okay. Don't you start with me.
Oh, I'm starting.
No, I had a nap before the show, so watch out. I'm fired up.
Watch out, world.
Yes.
Nap Gerald's in the room.
I had an afternoon nap. Go
Andy,
on, you can speak.
Yeah. What did you think of the story, Andy?
Oh, I'm real conflicted. Let me start at the beginning and say I liked it a lot. So that seems like it would be an easy answer. But I liked it enough that I wanted it to do more things than it did. And so then now I'm in my heart, I'm disappointed. I couldn't tell you what I'm disappointed with. It was neat, and it was tidy, neat and tidy how it like kept linking everything back to its things. And the Camaro is the parents, the picture, it's the car is the car her parents died in, and they died watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Right, I don't know, but it didn't do an extra loop of goodness. It did one pass through of good and cool.
Wow, Andy, I think this is like the first time that I'm like 100% agreeing with you. That's exactly my attitude. And I might be able to dig in why, but basically podcast over. We're good. That's basically, it's good, but yeah. All right. Anyway.
So the title, I don't know how much the title comes from a famous Carol Clover story that developed the final girl theory of horror films: Men, Women, and Chainsaws, gender in horror, something. And I thought maybe it would do like a twist on that, and then it was like it has us empathize with the final girl. Is that the twist that's doing on that? Like that's like also industry standard is the thing. So like I don't know, it's something. And then the dedication was to Joe Lansdale, who wrote the short story that my favorite film, Bubba Hotep, was based on, starring Bruce Campbell. So that's exciting. That also takes place in Nacogdoches, Texas.
So it sounds like this has everything that should have made you scream from the rooftops. It's got all the references you're loving, but it just failed to do a deeper thing. And so you're like, okay.
Yeah, but it was really good. It was really good. I don't, because I'm also not complaining how bad it is.
Right. There's
Not
nothing
like,
bad about
they,
it. No.
they ruined it, and tanked it, he set it up and missed it. Like, no, it did all this stuff nice. I thought it was very clever how the ghosts, like, she pictures how the ghosts of the parents are going to help her get her revenge, right? And she pictures how they're going to like chop them up into pieces and put them in the trunk. Good. And then the thing happens, and she's like, "Oh, why aren't they chopping them up into pieces? Why, it's not happening. It's not working." And then he pops the trunk, and she sees the chainsaw in the trunk. And I was like, "Oh, she's gonna chop them up into pieces." Then she doesn't chop them up into pieces. She kills them with carbon monoxide poisoning, which is how her parents died. It's like, really, I like it a lot, but then it didn't do anything else. It should have done an extra thing. I don't know what the extra thing is. I'm not a great writer, but it let me down somehow in my heart.
Yeah, I have a guess, but we should also let Gerald say what he thought of the story overall.
Yeah,
but yeah, Gerald.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I liked it a lot. I liked it. I mean, I suppose if I were to summarize my analysis, it would be 5 out of 6, because it's a really good story. Really enjoyed reading it. Everything gets resolved, and she rides off into the sunset, and the bad guy is dead, and in a cool way. So great story. It didn't have that extra thing that we like to see in in literary stories. Sometimes we get quite a lot of times we get an extra thing, oh, I see what you did there, oh, that's very clever sort of thing. But it's a really enjoyable story, and I enjoyed reading it. Thank you very much. 5 out of 6, podcast over.
Yeah. Well, we did it, guys. No. Digging in a little bit more, like Andy, you were just saying, oh, she imagines what she thinks is gonna happen, but then that's not what happens. But like, as I read the part of what she thinks is gonna happen, I already know that's not what's gonna happen because it's too soon in the story. Obviously, you're not gonna repeat the same thing. And this is a skilled enough writer who's not gonna like, I think this is gonna happen, and then that's exactly what happens, and I see it twice. He's not gonna do that. So obviously it has to be something else. Still, making it the carbon monoxide poisoning is fun and ties things together. So I'm not like knocking that, but I'm just saying that ties into my guess, which is my feeling reading this is the story made me do no work. And I think I like to do a bit of work. Everything's on the surface. That he even has in his style, and this is more just a style thing for me, so I'm not trying to knock it. I know a lot of people like this style, but there's a thing he does where he'll like make his point and then repeat it in a punchy little line again. And I actually don't like when authors do that. This is a personal preference of mine because it could feel like, oh, I'm just going to make sure you feel the punch. But it also feels like, I'm going to make sure you didn't miss the point, reader. Like, let me work a little bit. You don't have to tell me. Even if that sentence was great and it punched and it was effective and it was beautifully put together, it still feels like you already did it. And now you're hitting me again. And I never need to dig or think or wonder, is this what's going on? Is that what's going on? Like at this point in this story, I was never trying to go beneath the text. Everything's on the surface, and that might be why.
Can you pick out an example of that punchy sentence?
I was just going to say exactly the same thing.
Yeah, that's because great minds, Gerald.
Indeed. Not because we're challenging you, but we'd like to see.
Oh yeah. Let me find one. If you guys want to make a comment, but I'm trying to remember. I should have highlighted like one point where I was like, you already. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
while you
okay. For example,
go on.
Here's just one that I just found scrolling, but it's in a lot of places. Okay, She'd even called California to talk to her mom, but her parents' camper was already booking it for Oregon. It was probably for the best. Her adopted mom might not have recognized the girl she raised. Let us get there. Like, let us get there. Don't tell us that every single time, right? Like, that happens a lot throughout this story. The only thing he didn't explain to the reader that was very subtle, so it surprised me because he didn't explain it when he's explained everything else, was at the end, at the beginning of the story, she does the whole my real parents are the people who raised her, and at the end, she slips into real parents being the biological ones. There's just one little slip, and that's the only time where you as the reader are challenged to pick up on something without having it explained.
And I think also we don't really know much about her. She's very one-dimensional as a character. She has a kind of interesting life now, or sort of interesting setup in her arrangements. She's living in a thing with her two friends, and she works at a car dealership, and so there's sort of interest, but we never sort of, I don't know, that we never, which is probably part of the reason why we don't get much. We're not pulled, or we're not dragged in two directions or something, because she's just, oh, he comes back and she wants her revenge, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's thematic though, right? Like she can't be her person until she kills the monster and leaves the movie, right? She's stuck in this movie, haunted by this guy.
Yeah.
And until it's over, she's not a real person. She's this projection of, but like, I don't know.
I think, I think if we knew more about her, if we felt more about her, if we could understand why she was doing, why she did what she did, it's yes, the guy who ditched her comes back, so and then he so she definitely wants to get at him, and so but there's not much else apart from that, I don't think.
Yeah, but there's not supposed to be. Like, she's supposed to be there for us to project onto.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is the thing, but also like, that would be a better story. And like, I don't know, it's a cinema trope.
Right.
So does it work as a short story trope? I don't know. It's clever.
I think it does. I get it. Like, I agree with Andy. Like, that's very intentional. Like, I don't think this author just like, whoops, missed that. Like, I think it was a choice. It makes her more like Stretch from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's the final girl, right?
Right. Like, it makes her more like that. But I think the whole thing with Took was very necessary. If it was just this person dumped you, you might not sympathize with her as much. But then when you see, oh, he beat up this other girl, now you sympathize. So I think the Took thing is what you really, and also it's what gives you the feminist thing, right? There's like a lot of literature out there, scholarly academic stuff about how like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is like super like feminist, and here's why, and there's all. So it's like doing that as well, because this could have gone the path of women compete for male attention. She hates Took, but no, it doesn't do that. It's women banding together. This is a bad man. I don't love that my friend is sleeping with my ex, but also I sympathize with her because I've been there. I know that this guy is a monster. She's under his spell. So it has that like feminist side of it as well. So that's why you needed Took in there. So I think that did a lot of work for the story. And I guess maybe that wasn't super no, it was super surface, because she literally thinks this man, she knows the appeal this man has. Yeah, no.
Right, they say it.
It's said. Everything's said. Yeah.
Yeah. So and in a way that is typical of a horror movie. It's all tell not show, isn't it? It's all this happens and that happens and that happens, and everybody's all right in the end, probably. So yeah, it's not very subtle.
Yeah. Also, there's that bit when she's at work and she's like falling asleep, and the like male manager makes sure there's a woman nearby so that nobody could be accused of having like groped her or anything. There's all these like little tiny like, the thing between like women as prey, women as standing up for themselves going on there. So like I felt like that little bit at work was in some ways more interesting, even though it's still explained. Like,
Right.
it's still explained, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of tell not show in horror movies, one of my favorite anecdotes from the film The Evil Dead is when Dino De Laurentiis, the producer, told Sam Raimi that he wanted to have blood dripping down the screen. And so in the course of filming one of the monster dismemberment scenes, they had blood shoot across a movie projector to literally have blood dripping down the screen. So they thought, aha, we've done it.
Wow.
Wow.
Can't say we didn't do it.
Very cool.
But I don't know. That's the milieu, right? Is do the thing. Do the thing up front, right in your face, all the way.
Maybe that's what it is we're just like, he did the thing super well. Cool.
Yeah. He told a good little story, and it was not less enjoyable for that, but it didn't go that extra mile or kilometer, whatever you want.
Yard,
indeed.
Some people say yard as a
They
unit.
do say yard.
I don't.
No. Why
I
would
say
you?
3 feet.
You could measure it with a meter. We're goofing off now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
because we
know.
don't have much to say. Like it
I know.
was good.
It's a shame. Sorry. Well, no, I'm not sorry. It's just how stories are sometimes.
Yeah.
I wish our tone was brighter because the story is better than our tone right now. But
Right.
because we're supposed to analyze stuff for this podcast and it feels like there's nothing to chew on, we're like, well, what now?
I think yes. I think we've in a way we are mimicking the story. It's all up front. It's all on one level. We liked it. We enjoyed the story. It did, as Andy says, it did the thing, and it did the thing very well. Thank you. There's nothing to chew on because there's nothing chewy.
Also, I want to double check that at the end when I thought she said real parents, she meant the biological ones, because I also remember, like, I thought that's what had happened. But then I remember being a little disappointed because the only thing the biological parents have done is be vengeful ghosts, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. Love it. Love that for you as a family.
They also helped her push the car.
They helped her push the car. That's true.
That's 2 things. That was the
Like
studio.
this.
That
Sorry,
wasn't
I just the repeating thing. I know this is me personally. Some people don't mind it, but it was made of Jenna's blood though, and her parents' love. It would never break. Okay, like let me do something here. No, okay. But
Yeah. I think maybe he needed the punchy punchline, as well as the sort of not laborious description, but the description that tells the story. So, I think you're right. I think he could have done something a little bit better.
just more subtlety, I guess. But then again, horrors aren't, like we just said a million times. So.
Right. Yeah. That's not the. We're not in.
That's not the genre.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Actually, that's not true. Some horror movies are extremely subtle, but not this.
Right.
One.
We're in slasher horror.
We're in slasher. Yeah, not slashers. But
right.
Did you guys see Hereditary with Toni Collette?
No.
Loved it.
Did you see Bubba Hotep with Bruce Campbell and Ossie Davis? Oh.
Why is Toni Collette so good? I'm trying to find the last real parents line to see if maybe I should just do a search.
Yeah, I didn't see what you saw, but
yeah, maybe I was towards the end. Oh no, maybe it wasn't that. Okay, never mind. Nope.
Nope.
It would have been disappointing if that was the case a little bit. It would have been cool because, oh, something subtle, but it would have been disappointing because, wait, so does that mean that all along this was about her realizing the people who, would have raised her if they could, but did not, were her real parents? Kind of, I feel bad for the ones who did. like, there's a lot of victims here. No, I think it was, I got confused with, but he was sitting there turning the dial this way, then that way. And her real parents were right where they'd always been, weren't they? Not here. No, yeah. That is it. It's when
Right.
Victor's looking at the car and he's like fucking around with it, and she's looking for her real parents. Obviously, she's not looking for the people who raised her.
Right. She's looking for the
ghosts. So she calls the ghost real parents out of nowhere towards the end. That was it. That was the part. So it's just like, oh, okay. I feel a little bad for the people who raised you, but okay. Sure. I get it. They're helping you murder someone. Very cool. Yes, that did happen.
Avenging.
Yeah.
But because the rest of the slasherette story isn't even about who are her real parents, it doesn't feel like it matters that much. It's not a question of who her real parents are. Anyway.
Yeah.
Are we ready to rate?
Yeah, I'm impressed with the fact that she knew the part number for the trunk compartment lid release button switch. That's very cool.
I like that.
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, I'm still sticking with my 5 that I spoiled earlier because I enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed the story.
Yeah.
But not that extra mile.
Do I want to give it a 5?
I'll help you, Andy. I'm giving it a 4.
Yeah.
Because things that I've given a 5 to, I recently edited The Interlopers. That's the one about the two guys fighting over like family territory, and they think people are coming, but it's wolves at the end. And I like that a lot better than this, for whatever reason. And I gave that one a 5. So using my own rubric, this was a 4.
I like that wolf one.
That wolf one was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give it a 4. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like real good and nice, and it's everything I wanted, but not everything I secretly wanted. I guess that's the thing, right? It hit everything that I would have said that I wanted, but it didn't search out my secret yearnings that not even I am aware of and fulfill them.
That's fair.
Wow.
Also, for people new to this, sometimes with the more modern ones, I think we get new people. It's on a scale of 1 to 6, which is really a 1 to 5, where like 5 is solid, and then 6 is like I was screaming from the rooftops and it hit my secret yearnings, as Andy said. Yeah.
Wow. Very good.
It's like 5 plus.
Right.
And Andy doesn't do halves, so
No, that's the coward's way out.
I didn't do a half, although I often do. Like a coward.
halves there to be used.
I like the chainsaw. I like that there was a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like the fact that the exhaust fumes from the chainsaw killed them, not the chainsaw itself. So that's
we had come so far in this killer car story that I was like, man, we're talking a lot about Texas Chainsaw Massacre for this to be a killer car story.
And then it is a chainsaw massacre. And you don't see the chainsaw coming at all. Like the trunk just opens, and then but the only
it was
clue
also
is
the thing where it was like foreshadowed just enough, right?
Yes.
We knew in the picture their parents were covered in wood chips.
Which was weird. I was like, why the fuck are they covered in wood chips? I was so confused. I'm like, why? What? We're all just gonna pretend this is normal? Fine. They're just covered in wood chips, as one is.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, it's perfect. But yeah. Okay.
So Andy, what are we reading next week?
Next week we're reading a story, and that story is titled Non-Disclosure Agreement by Syed Syrafizadeh.
Okay. But before you go, visit our Facebook discussion group, the Literary Roadhouse Readers, and plot out your righteous murder. Be sure to include vengeful but loving ghosts as your accomplice, or else what are we even doing here? And Andy, we now need to refurbish. It's Camaro, right? I'm always never okay. I don't know why sometimes my brain wants to say Camaro because of the word camera, and I'm like, that's not right. That's not right.
Nope.
Anyway, we need to refurbish a Camaro. Contribute to our Camaro bodywork and podcast expenses at patreon.com/literary roadhouse. Every bit helps. And as always, share this podcast with the backstabbing girlfriend who slept with your ex-man. Until next time, read a good story. Gerald, could you?
Yeah, I can't do it. No.
Cat.
Cat.
Bye, cat.
Cat alert.